Hello guys, so today's tutorial is actually going to be based on like a zombie Easter bunny. This look was originally intended to be cute, but cute is not really something I do. So I thought, why not go it up as a zombie and make it something horrifying? Because that's what I do. Now, I'm not the greatest sculptor out there, so when I did this prosthetic, I realized that it's a little bit too above my upper lip. So, hairball. If you are doing this look, then I recommend that 1, you either face paint the nose on, 2, get it from a professional makeup store or makeup website, or 3, if you're gonna sculpt this, make sure that you sculpt it right, because I did it. There really isn't a lot to say about this look, except if you want to see how I did it, then you just gotta keep on watching. Okay, so in order to become a zombie bunny, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply a prosthetic, and I actually made this myself out of gelatin. I basically just sculpted it and casted it, and now I have this. Unfortunately, I can't speak very well when I'm using this, so I'm gonna have to stick on my teeth right before, and I already got black eyeshadow in this. I'm gonna do that and get right back to you. Now, I am gonna use liquid latex to apply the prosthetic. Usually you would use Prosade or spirit gum, but unfortunately the spirit gum that I have doesn't really hold on that much. I mean, it holds, but I want this to be pretty durable and strong, since I am gonna be moving my mouth quite a lot. So for this particular thing, I am gonna be using liquid latex. Usually I would use a Q-tip, but I'm lazy to get one, so I'm just gonna use my finger. I mean, they were given to us for a reason, might as well use them. I'm also gonna apply it in the back of the prosthetic, so once I let it dry a little bit, it turns into almost like a contact adhesive. Let it dry a little tiny bit. After that, start sticking the appliance down using your preference of makeup adhesive. As I said, I'm using a little bit of latex, and I'm using a little Q-tip to get into those deeper areas of the prosthetic, and I'm making sure that every single edge of the prosthetic lies flat against my skin. I do not want any edges to lift up. So unfortunately, I cannot breathe well with this because I'm not the greatest sculptor out there, so I didn't know how to sculpt this nose properly to where I can breathe. Unless you're a mouth breather, which I'm not, I suggest that you take some fake nails and you apply them to the bottom part of the nose, like, and you go like, and that way it opens up the nose area so you can breathe a lot better. So you know you have your teeth. Then I just started applying a little bit more liquid latex on the edges of the prosthetic, since I pretty much wanted the edges to be pretty seamlessly blended against my skin. And I'm using both a Q-tip and a little cosmetic wedge, and I'm letting each layer dry first. Then I moved on to using Mehron's caster seal and applying this where I put the latex so the makeup could adhere a little bit better, and I just dabbed away the excess. And then I just took Mehron Paradise paint in white and I started applying this as a base all over my face. Now, it does not need to be perfect because, as I said, this is just a base color. Next, I moved on to using Mehron Paradise paint in pink, and I'm applying this on top of the white base, mixing it with a little bit of that white to create a really light pink. But it was turning out a little bit too patchy, so I just poured it in an airbrush, and that gave me a smoother finish once I applied it to the face. And then I mixed in a little bit of white with that mixture and just applied it on the highlights of my face. Then I used a stark white for the snout and the forehead. Next, I'm taking an eyeshadow base by NYX Cosmetics, and I'm applying this with my ring finger on top of my eyelids. And then I'm using a hot pink eyeshadow by NYX and applying this on my crease using an e.l.f. crease brush. And I'm using window wiping motions to apply this to the crease. Now I'm using a fluffier brush to blend the color outwards, and at the same time apply it on the inner corner of the eye closer to my brow and dragging the color on the bottom of my brow. Next, I'm using a black eyeshadow, and I'm applying this on the outer corner of the eye and then blending it outwards using a fluffy blending brush. And I'm flicking the color outwards almost like a cat-shaped eye. And at the same time, I'm applying the same black eyeshadow to both my mouth and the inner corner of the eye to make my eyes look more sunken in and more devilish-like, or more zombified or dead, and creating some really intense eye bags using both the hot pink eyeshadow and then darken it up with the black eyeshadow. And I'm using a fluffy brush for this so that I can blend the colors easier.
Next, I'm using NYX's Hot Black Eyeshadow, and this is literally like the most pigmented black eyeshadow you will ever use. Like, look at it, it's seriously the most pigmented thing ever. And I'm using this to contour my face, like the cheekbones and the temples, and then I'm moving on to creating realistic hairs using White Paradise paint by Mehron and a fluffy brush. Obviously, if you have a fan brush, this would be a lot easier and a lot faster, but I did not have that, so I had to improvise. The white aqua paint was seeping into the prosthetic a little bit, so I just decided to apply white cream makeup from Mehron on top of the snout, and then I just used a setting powder to set that all. Since this is a cream, you do want to set it or else it will smudge and move around and will just like ruin your life. And then I just took a hot pink eyeshadow, the same one we used for the eyes, and a gray eyeshadow, and I just decided to add more depth and realism to the snout. I'm using the hot pink eyeshadow on the nose to make it look more bunny-like and more sort of sweet-like, even though this is a zombie. And then I just use a black eyeshadow on the nostrils to darken them up, and I'm using whatever was left on the brush and dragging the color along the bridge of my nose, so the sides of my nose. Next, I'm using a fine artist brush with more of that Paradise paint in white, and I'm applying random stark white hairs along the face, and this is gonna make it look a lot more realistic. Adding these fine little white hairs is gonna make it look more like actual fur. I'm adding a bit more depth and dimension to the eyes using a gray eyeshadow, and then I moved on to taking a shimmery white eyeshadow and packing this on my lid because I wanted this character to look like he was wearing up makeup before, you know, turning into a zombie. He was just going by his day until he got turned into a zombie and his makeup just started smearing everywhere. And then I'm just taking a little bit of spirit gum and applying this on top of the snout and my brow, and I'm taking gray crepe hair, which is so annoying to work with because it gets everywhere, and I'm applying this on top of the spirit gum to add whiskers and some crazy looking eyebrows. Kinda look like Old Man Jenkins. Get off my lawn! I'm taking a mustardy yellow cream makeup and just making my teeth look dirty, as well as taking a brown cream makeup and making them look even nastier. Then I moved on to repeating the exact same steps I used on my face for my body, avoiding that bow I drew on. And then I'm taking Red Paradise paint by Mehron and started filling in the bow. Next, I'm using a black eyeshadow and I'm just drawing all the features of the bow before I do any of the shadows or any of the highlights. And then I'm using that exact same black eyeshadow and I'm just creating all the shadows that will be casted naturally on the bow. So in every single one of the folds or flaps is gonna have a little shadow. Now, I absolutely love making bows, so if you want more of an in-depth tutorial on how to make them, just let me know and I will gladly make a video for you all. But now I'm just adding highlights using a White Paradise paint, and I'm using the previous color that I used on the bow, so a red, to blend the color outwards, and that's gonna make the highlight not as intense but still make it look like the light is actually shining at the bow. Plus it's gonna make the bow look a lot more shiny and more of like a silky type of fabric. I cannot talk today, I'm so sorry, but yeah, it's gonna make it look a lot more realistic like this. Then I moved on to the meh part of the whole look because I was just not feeling this whatsoever. I'm taking a lilac body paint by Mehron and I'm creating the vest. And then I'm taking a dark chocolate brown eyeshadow by NYX and I'm using this to create the shadow that will be casted by the vest on my skin. And I'm doing the exact same thing with the bow. So with the bow, I'm just creating the shadow that will be casted by the bow on the vest and my skin, and taking a bit of black eyeshadow and putting this where the bow, and putting this sort of like closer to the edges of the bow. So where the fabric meets or is closer to the vest or closer to my skin, that's where the shadow is gonna be a lot more intense. So that's where you're gonna add most of the black. And then I'm taking the white body paint and I'm just adding more highlights to the bow because I just felt like it needed that. And then I just moved on to creating more shadows here and there. And then I moved on to creating more of a zombie neck. So I'm just creating more of an intense, sort of like pronounced zombie neck by using hot pink eyeshadows in black. I wanted to have a lot more detail in the vest, but again, I was just not feeling it whatsoever, so I decided to just scratch it off and create some wounds by first outlining each of the wounds with black eyeshadow and filling them in with red body paint, and then I decided to take the exact same red body paint and drip it down my mouth to make it look like I've been feasting on people for Easter, making my whiskers, well, mustache, look very messy because it's obviously not going to be clean after munching on all those people's brains for Easter, nom 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 nom. Then I'm taking Ben Nye scratch blood, adding this to the wounds to make them chunkier and like torn up flesh, adding more blood, mixing black body paint with the red to make more of an oxidized, old age looking blood, letting it drip down the vest, and then with black body paint I decided to spackle it all over the vest and the skin to add a lot more grime and make it look dirtier and grungier. To make the bow look a little bit more interesting, I just decided to take Graftobian's gold metallic powder, mix it with the mixing medium to create a liquid, and decided to paint on some stripes on the bow. Again, I just wanted to make this look a little bit more interesting and pop a little bit more. Then I'm taking Paradise paint in white and adding random dots in between each of the lines I created to again make the bow look more interesting and add a pretty pattern to it, and adding more patterns and detail to the vest. Then I'm taking NYX's jumbo pencil in milk and adding this to my waterlines and adding a little bit of mascara.
So I really hope that you all enjoyed this makeup tutorial, and if you did, please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, if you want to follow me on any other social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the links will be down below, as well as the list of products I used in this video. So I really hope to see you next time, and bye!